office trying to make some kind of reconciliation of these two parts, perpetrator and perpetrator, I mean military and police side, and also just common people. So there are two groups of victims. One victim is the victim who were killed by the mountain gatherers. Another, the largest, more than 88% of the victims belong to the victims who were killed by military and armies and police. Okay, but because Korea is an anti-communist country, and we had a long-term military regimes, so military and police side of victims have been treated as true victims of this uprising, whatever. But until 50s, okay. So 50s anniversary, 1998 was the kind of turning point, because this the local government's effort to create this mood of reconciliation and forgiveness, people begin to the victims, civilian victims, trying to raise question. We are the majority. We cannot reconcile without knowing the truth. Okay, so that was the beginning. There was a big kind of confrontation between these two groups. So I wrote an article about it in English, and that appeared in this journal. You should read my article. It was appeared in 2000. It's Inter-Asia Cultural Studies journal. It deals with this issue because I was there, and it was published in 2000. But the whole fieldwork was based on this 1995. That was around that time. Every place in that commemorative rituals, there were fight between these two groups. But this traditional justice activists trying to make what is compromise. So there were two groups of Bereaved Families Association, Anti-Communist Association of Bereaved Families, and another one is just the Cheju People's Association, for the Bereaved Families. So they began to become unite one group, and it took I think several years since then. I think after this special act for the historical truth and recovery of honor for the victims in 2000. Around that time, these two groups of victims' families united and make one. So this the first special act for the historical truth of Sasam and the recovery of the victims' honor in 2000 was the beginning of actualization of justice. And but in the whole process of actualization, this kind of conflicts, internal conflicts between two groups remain. And that, for instance, it depends on the government. So if Kim Dae-jung and Roh Moo-hyun regimes for 8 years, most of this transitional justice seemed to go very well. But in 2007 or 8, the 60th anniversary, when Lee Myung-bak took a government, everything fell apart. And they couldn't really do. They stopped the excavation at the airport and also what else? But fortunately, the local government, this whole commemoration project, kind of project, could continue because they were supported by local government, not the state. So although they didn't get a huge money, but it was a safe way. So within the Jeju Island community, people, military or police side and this civilian side made always this kind of compromise. It's a very political thing. And some extreme rightist and also Protestant, very strange. You know, in Korea, Protestant church is rightist, right? Rightist. It's different. Taiwan, Presbyterian.
Not really. Not really.
Not really?
Not really.
I attended at the Presbyterian churches 2 to 8
Actually,
ceremony.
the core question is that the right and the left in Taiwan is very blurred. But
In Korea, it's not blurred.
Yeah.
It's a very
because we
clear.
don't have a real sense of what is the left is. Yeah, so it's that.
Maybe that's the smart strategically. I mean, that's the kind of smart way of survival of China, Taiwan under the threat of China. Well, you know, so I'm giving you this real history of, because I've been participating all the process of this. So I know very detailed. But since 2008 and for 10 years, there were, you know, every the major kind of important thing couldn't do more. But after Moon Jae-in government in 2011, we started, I think, again the excavation, and also what else? And we are. I'm giving you. I'm the part of these people, so I include myself in this kind of transitional justice advocacy group. It's still going on, you know. So, but I'm not a native, Jeju native, so I'm always outsider. I was never taken as a part of them, but I'm loyal to the dead victims instead of living people. But anyway, so let me see. This whole new name, new title of the Sasam as a people's uprising against division, national division, and also foreign occupation became a very hot issue. Finally, find its voice. Last year was a kind of turning point. and Jeju people regained their energy and spirit to promote more, push more strongly. And then first is two things. One is the revision of their special law in order to appeal to make a petition to the government for the reparation, real retribution. So far there is no individual level reparation, only public kind of like a construction of peace park and and establishment of the peace foundation, all this kind of very public thing, but there was no compensation for individual victims. But most of victims are already dead, and also even surviving victims are so old. And so maybe government, parliament members, particularly rightist group, rightist party, which called the 자유 한국당, they rejected this revision of this law. So last year we worked very hard, but it failed. But we still appeal to the parliament to pass this revision. And another thing was, I told you already, the criminal, it's a full recovery of the criminals who were sentenced to 10 years or 20 years of prison. They got guilty. So this martial law court was illegal. So their sentences now turned to be illegal. So their sentences, they are no guilty. So it's a kind of recovery of their citizen status. So what the police did, they erased this insurgent, this red line. But only 18 people appealed to the law for this correction of their sentences. So only 18 people got this benefit from this. But these lawyers, we call democratic lawyers, appeal the government again for the all dead, all even dead criminals under the title of insurgents should be not guilty. So this case kind of is so scandalous globally, and just last week, I think they had a huge conference about it. This kind of legal decision to save these wrongly sentenced people could be applied to the other cases in other country, the case. So, and also there are many people who were killed or sentenced or shot to death during the Korean War under this wrong judge for the communist or something. And actually this North and South Korean leaders summit had a big influence on this change. But yesterday and today, I think North Korea shoot the missile. We are all worried so much. I hope something really peace talks. Korea is still under the situation of warfare, so we should change this treaty to peace treaty, and it's so difficult to convince North Korea to follow, but anyway, very interesting, depoliticized place of wars. I met Professor Ho Yi-lin at the Taiwan Education University. He's historian of Ho Yi-lin. Ho Yi-lin. He wrote a book about Oraba in Japanese. And he said several dead bodies of the soldiers, the Komin nationalist soldiers during the Oraba were taken back to China. Is it true?
During Urban,
Yeah.
this nationalist soldier, they come to Taiwan first and then sent back to China. That's new.
Oh,
That's really neat.
Yeah, that may be so because at that time, Urba is in
1947.
1947, and at that time the Civil War gets started.
Mm.
So there are some troops deployed between the Taiwan trade.
Mm.
So that would be the normal, I think. Yeah. You mean after Urba, some troops have been sent back to China, but also there's another saying that after Urba, some troops has been sent to Taiwan. So at that time, it's very complicated.
Yeah, so it's but I read recently the article by Rebecca Northrop, who wrote about this repatriation of dead bodies, and between 1945 to 1959 or something like that. She wrote this article about the return of the dead bodies who were killed in the war in Taiwan too. I mean,
The return of dead body during the
of
war
soldiers,
time.
yeah.
Soldier, the Japanese or Taiwanese or
No, Taiwan.
Taiwanese.
No, not Taiwanese,
Oh,
but China, the soldiers, nationalist soldiers from this southern area, Guangzhou or something, right?
They were killed in Taiwan.
Yeah,
and then sent back to China.
they were dispatched to Taiwan, and then their bodies returned. So he said, I wrote that note. I want to visit. He said, really, you really should read this Rebecca. No, I have an article here. Let me see. Oh, she all. Anyway, he said how Lin told me I asked him why this Taiwan government do not excavate or do not search for the dead bodies of the disappeared people. He said there is no document telling where they were buried or they are killed. There is no documents, and also people are not interested in that, he said. Is it true?
Whether because there are still some documents never been opened.
Ah, really?
Yeah, there's still some.
Yeah.
Oh.
There are a lot has been stored
Oh.
in the very bad condition
Ah,
and never been declassified.
Yeah.
And never been declassified.
declassified. I see.
Declassified, yeah. And then some said that those documents has already been ruined.
Ruined.
Ruined because the bad condition of the story.
Ah, I see.
So that would be because we still
But
haven't.
it's still you have so many disappeared intellectuals, you know, and why no one's body is
has been-
discovered.
Yeah.
Really,
That's
it's a secret. You cannot really.
So even though you know that people were buried in Liujiangli, but there is
No.
No, that's the white terror.
That's the white terror.
okay.
And then the people has been executed without court during a
Yeah,
bar.
yeah.
Maybe maybe they didn't have not been documented because that is in Chinese 清香. How do you say that?
So they purged the whole village. So
Yeah.
they killed the people in the inn.
Whole village.
Some 清香 not really whole village. They purged the whole village for the intellectuals,
Mm.
or even someone others, and they kill them instantly. So
Ah.
there's no document. Only the famous people will have a document.
But
for
the
it. Yeah.
killer would know.
The
But
killer's family.
why there is no testimony of the
killer's
killer,
family.
any one
Oh.
killer? So
Yeah, but
so
I
strange.
think there are some similar cases in Korea, like the Soochow Massacre.
Shincheon.
Yeah, now it's in North Korea, right?
North
The
Korea.
Shincheon location.
Yeah.
Because I just read a novel by Hwang So-young.
Mm.
Yeah, his novel titled The
Sogang.
Guest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's about the massacre in
Yeah.
Soochow. And far to now, it is said that the responsibility of the massacre is not clear till now, right? Because some say it's the killer is the U.S. Army, but others says it's because of the different groups in local people and also about the religions. So, but I want to know that far to now, does South Korean government do something for this Soochow massacre, or they just thinking that it's a case happened in North Korea, so it's none of their business? Because I know in South Korea, in society, there are many people concerned about this issue, but for the government, did they say something about this or not? Yeah, because the case is more like the incident happens in mainland China or Taiwan, like the bodies in Taiwan sent to mainland China. How Taiwan government now say something to this? It's very difficult for them because due to the political situation at present, they cannot say too much about the issues happened. Yeah, far long ago.
In Taiwan, we only accuse the who is the one gave the order to execute the village purge. Who, whether it's Chiang Kai-shek or the government official, general official training. Yeah. But how you find out who really put the trigger? Yeah, that's a very difficult question, because maybe some soldiers disembark to Venezuela because the civil war. They need to deploy the different troops. Yeah, so I don't know, that is very difficult. Yeah.
Maybe it's not important question to the government, you know. But from the perspective of family member, you really can't really forget it and just
And
some
of the family members saw the scenes of execution, so they know who.
But
they know who. But
they could not find the body.
some of them, famous people, can get back their bodies. For example, Chen Zhenpo did have body back.
really?
Chen Zhenpo, the painter,
Yeah.
the artist, the army executed in front of the train station,
Yeah.
and then let everybody see, because you have to see that it's
Yeah.
cultural and yeah.
So that
And
kind
after
of public persecution could remain, this the trace of the killing, but
Yeah. So then, during the White Terror, they kill people secretly.
yeah.
No one should see, because if you see, you would angry
that's
with
the reason. After my visiting the Yujangmi, I decided not to go in too much for the so complicated, particularly in this case of White Terror. So anyway, I have more things that I don't know after this short period of research on all of that. I hired a translator, and it's too much. It costs too much, and also she's only a college graduate, college student, so she cannot really explain well, describe whole thing. So anyway, I really don't know about this 1990s democratization movement, wild relief movement. Can you give me any good information about wild relief?
Yeah, but
It's a very peaceful movement.
You mean the democratization after
No.
or
1990.
the student movement.
Is it student movement?
There's a group of students protested in the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall to ask to remove the legislator. At that time we call it national representative. 国大代表
National representative?
National 人大的英文，人大有英文吗？它跟人大一样。
so they're somehow like the Senates, because they're elected according to the province.
Yeah. So how you call that? It's just like the upper house. Yeah. The upper house at that time represent every principles in the whole China. So in Taiwan we have the congressmen, or we call them congressmen, that they represent maybe Xinjiang, maybe Fujian. Yeah, that is the so-called the upper house. And the lower house is the legislature. And at that time the student movement, they call to re-elect the upper house. Yeah, and that is the first one. The other one is 他们说改国大，然后下另外一个什么进来，我也忘记了。
什么废除万年？
这万年国大就是这个万年国大。刑法100条吗？
So the mandatory
and also to cancel to remove the criminal law about treason of the state. That is the democratization for the student movement in 1990. But if we say the whole period of democratization should start from during the end of the war, the martial law. in 1986.
啊，
Yeah, started from